Today we're continuing a manhwa called The Reason Why Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. The previous chapters are in the description. Please like and subscribe, it helps a lot. Every group is already returning from the hunting competition, but the Win Night entourage is nowhere to be seen. Raeliana is besides herself with worry when only Ansley arrives looking exhausted and faints. Just then, a mountain in the distance appears to move. And indeed, it certainly looked like a mountain was moving. What with Adam and Noah showing up carrying a gigantic beast behind them, with the most chill expressions as if they were strolling along the park. Noah smiles as soon as he sees Raeliana, apologizing to her for not getting the dragon she wanted, since there didn't seem to be any, but assuring her he'd get her one eventually. Raeliana just wonders in shock, whenever did she imply she wanted one? Still, she sees Vivian looking at her angrily and takes the opportunity to get up and close with Noah, wiping away the rain from his face. He is surprised, but quickly plays along, making Raeliana cringe, but Vivian furious. Raeliana throws her a kiss as she leaves, and as soon as she's in the building, demands to know what the dragon stuff is about, to which she produces the handkerchief she had given to Adam. Raeliana deduces that he knew that was not the meaning of the handkerchief, but decided to go this far just to tease her for the strange design she embroidered. Just then, Noah asks if she's going to stay, since he wants to take his clothes off. Honestly, I would have said yes, but Raeliana races to the door while Noah says it doesn't matter to him if she wants to see, teasing her about how she watched him sleep not long ago. She covers his mouth with her hands, embarrassedly rambling excuses while he just keeps teasing her, having the time of his life. But then, Raeliana inches even closer. Too close, maybe, and when she asks if he will stop with his attitude, he gives a troubled nod. She smiles and lets him go, surprised at how fast he agreed, unaware of the troubled expression he has while she leaves. She can't believe she just acted like that, but she thinks it felt nice. Well, duh! Imagine being able to touch those silky soft lips of his. I wouldn't wash my hands for 3 days. Anyway, Keith enters Noah's room, commenting on how he's never caught anything at a hunting event before, and much less dedicating it to a lady. And Noah seems defensive as he asks what his point is. He says he doesn't have any, but then asks, as his friend, if he's serious about Raeliana. Noah instantly replies no, so Keith asks him if he wouldn't mind him approaching Raeliana instead. But under Noah's hard expression, he instantly feels fear for his life. Noah gets up and faces him directly, telling him not to cross the line, and Keith can do nothing but avert his eyes and look down. I don't know about you, but this whole scene, my heart is beating so fast. Like, Noah's look on his face. Please. In another room, Vivian is throwing a tantrum over not being able to catch Noah's attention. She even accepted his brother's advances only so he would notice her more. In anger, she grabs a brooch, a green gem, saying this will help, which honestly just means trouble is coming. Somehow that same brooch appears in Raeliana's room not much later, and intrigued by the item, she takes it with her to the temple she must visit as a custom after the hunting event, even though Vivian herself has left the event entirely and will not be in attendance. Said temple is where one of the most important figures of the church, His Holiness Pope Hika, resides. Hika looks like a child, but apparently he's very old and very powerful, and very much against meeting the visiting nobles, even though his aide, Wade, implores him because they really, really, really need their donations. Hika seems to be really rude since he's a genius and no one can be at his level. But after insistence from Wade, he finally agrees, sending him away moments later. As winner of the event, Raeliana must participate in the torch ceremony in the temple. She's taken separately to purify her. This means she will be isolated from everyone, and all she'll do all day is eat bland, weird-looking meals and take purification baths, which she's so tired of already. She's pulled out of her thoughts by the sound of a bird splashing in the lake in front of her. It seems to be in trouble, so she picks it up. It just so happens that Hika is up on a tree watching her the whole time. A bit stalkerish, but okay. Raeliana doesn't understand what's wrong with the bird, but Hika finally speaks, saying that those birds can only fly in cool temperatures, but the dome that surrounds the temple is warm due to the priest's magic, so it will not survive long. With an indifferent expression, Raeliana walks to the edge of the dome and throws the bird out, even though Hika, who follows her closely, tells her it will die because of the extreme temperature change now, and that its fate is sealed. Raeliana turns and grabs at his cheeks, telling him fate or no fate, if you have the will, you'll live. After all, she herself is changing the whole story to survive. Hika is flabbergasted at how she's treating him. Does she not know who he is? But of course she doesn't. Just then, the bird flies away, and Raeliana watches it go. Hika is super offended by her attitude, and so after she leaves, he starts looking for her, giving Wade a poorly drawn picture for reference, and insulting him for not finding her with that visual aid. Poor Wade. How can you do anything with that? Still, Hika insists on looking for her. She treated him like a child, and he can't let that go. He must make it clear that he is a superior human. Raeliana is trying to evade the odd-looking meal at all cost, and is ecstatic when Eunha, who helps her in the temple, lets her skip the meal and tells her she can just transcribe a Bible today. She arrives at the library and starts transcribing a Bible she found written in an odd language, but of course, given her ability, she can read it with no issues. She transcribes and translates, writing in a lot of pages, which are then found by Hika, who is impressed that someone can understand the language that well. Everyone else in the temple is basically a dimwit to him, but this person actually has a lot of talent and potential. So away with the search of the person who offended him, and on he goes with the search of this prodigy, which, unknown to him, is the same person. Wade uses his powers to create a tracking butterfly, and of course, it lands on Raeliana. Hika is surprised, and talks to Raeliana in ancient language to confirm it was her who translated the Bible, which of course is confirmed when Raeliana replies fluently with no issues. He gets all excited, asking where she learned to speak this language, saying he would be better at teaching her. He is basically scouting her, and grabs her hand claiming she will be his new student. Raeliana, of course, is very confused. She still thinks he's a child, but when Wade explains his identity, she just doesn't want anything to do with him. Raeliana starts speaking formally to him and refuses his invitation to be a student, because of which he's even more surprised. He's all smiles and rainbows to her now, but she still refuses. He tells Wade he must have misheard her, and when he turns to demand an explanation from Raeliana, she is gone. The next day, Raeliana is dressed with the brooch adorning her hair, although she felt uneasy staring at it earlier. Finally, we get to see Noah again as he greets Raeliana with a cute smile. He notices she's lost some weight due to the diet of odd-looking soup she's been on. So attentive. At the temple, they're greeted by holy knights who rarely leave the Holy Land, so what are they doing here? Of course, Hika called them over just so he can make a display of his power and authority in front of Raeliana. Hika remembers the advice Wade gave him to try to foster a good relationship with her for her to agree to become his student, but he's been alone for 150 years, with no friends or family. He doesn't really know what to do. He remembers how a colleague told him his granddaughter follows him around calling him Grandpa, and how excited he was about it. So inspired by this, he tells Raeliana he will be her grandfather. Wade chokes on his drink, Eunha drops her cup, and Raeliana tries to avoid the situation. Wade explains he can't simply take on Raeliana as his granddaughter, but wasn't it him who told him to build a relationship with her? As Wade is suffering under Hika's instigation, Raeliana tries to escape, but she is easily caught by Noah, who calls her over. Just then, her brooch calls the attention of Hika, and some weird light starts radiating from it as it cracks. The gem explodes, and Noah lurches forward as fast as he can. In an instant, he is holding her while the brooch floats in the hands of a now adult-looking Hika. Well, hello there. He's super chill when he once more asks if she can call him Grandpa now. And I will not make a comment about this because I will be canceled for indecency. The now fine-looking Hika explains that the gem on Raeliana's head is very difficult to obtain, and then proceeds to study Noah, asking him what his relationship with his Raeliana is. Yours? Asks Noah with a cold expression. Do you have a problem with answering me? Asks Hika. Why, I like this interaction a lot for some reason. Noah smiles his Noah smile as he says they're engaged, which Hika does not care for since married women can't work in his field. Noah tells him he'd like to make a donation to the temple, saying, "My fiancé," again and again just to spite him. And boy, does it work. Wade breaks off the tension to talk about the donation, and after that is done, Noah instructs Adam to get knights to watch over Raeliana, given the event that just took place. Raeliana herself is shaking in her room. She nearly just died. Is it really her fate to just die in this world? Can she really not change it? She is startled by a hand placed on her shoulder, but it turns out to be Noah. He tells her that Francis and Jake are dead, and so Raeliana infers that the whole jail thing was a lie. Noah had taken care of them. So, it was not them. Noah asks who it is that wants her dead, and when Raeliana says she doesn't know, he gets even more serious, saying he doesn't care if she did something bad, he has to know who's after her. He's desperate as he grabs her tightly by the hand, insisting. Seeing that he won't be reasonable anymore, Raeliana grabs him by the collar and throws him into the purification bathwater. Noah finally comes back to his senses, asking himself why he became so irrational. Still, he can't help getting close to her again and tells her he lost his temper because when he thought that he might lose her, he thought that he'd go crazy. He leaves right after that, leaving a confused and perplexed Raeliana behind. He's noticing. He's finally noticing the changes within himself. The following day is the day of the torch lighting ceremony, and Raeliana is ignoring Noah due to the whole scene we just witnessed. Hika himself is conducting the ceremony, which is very unusual, and takes the opportunity to insist on her calling him grandfather. Although she initially refuses again, she finally agrees, and so he gives her the torch, and the ceremony takes place without issues. After this, Raeliana and Noah finally return to the capital, and though Hika wants to follow them, Wade hangs on to his clothes, saying he can't just run around however he likes, making Raeliana shed a grateful tear for him. A while after all of these events took place, the head of the Shamal family is reproaching Justin Shamal, Vivian's older brother and heir to the family, for his playboy nature and questionable actions with unknown women. Why are we just getting bombarded with hot guys from everywhere today? I get why he's a playboy. He's got the material. Anyway, his father tells him to visit Vivian, who has locked herself in her room and is super stressed. Justin wonders why, and when he gets to her room, he finds her screaming at someone, saying it was all their fault and how would they handle it. When she comes out of the room, blood drips from her closed fist, and as she leaves, a very surprised Justin greets the person she was talking to, who smiles and introduces herself as Beatrice. Oh boy, this can't be good. Raeliana is thoughtful as she watches Noah practice with the sword, and has to smack herself in the face to get back to her senses after looking at his sparking face. She tells him she wants to learn the sword, and he says it's a good idea, but tracing lightly over her hands, he says her hands might get injured. So he shows her a move that will help her be safe, and keeps her hands looking pretty at the same time, and basically flexes with an inhuman move. Raeliana just smiles sweetly at him, asking if this is something ordinary people can do, and he smiles and says yes. A lie. Raeliana says she just wants a teacher, and he says he'll do the job, while all of the knights behind him signal for her not to accept at any cost. She follows their wise advice, and says she just won't learn. So Noah suggests they do something else, and takes her to a jewelry store, seating her in a chair in front of all the pretty gems, and being very close to her, as they basically tease each other with their words. A new knight is escorting them, and he is frozen in place by what he's looking at, while Ansley can only sigh. Raeliana is shown loads and loads of jewelry, and overwhelmed, she says it's all really pretty, hoping to leave soon, and they do. Right after Noah decides to take just about everything in the store, putting one of the necklaces on her himself. Raeliana blushes as she reminds herself not to falter, not to fall. This self-restraint woman However do you manage? I could never. Back at home, Haley, Raeliana's maid, comes over before leaving for a vacation Raeliana allowed for Thanksgiving, which she's very grateful about. Before leaving, she gives a lot of instructions to Raeliana because she's worried about her well-being. And lastly, tells her not to look in the mirror in the library room, since it is rumored that a soul is trapped in it. If you look at the mirror and you see eyes looking back at you, a voice will speak to you and tell you anything you wish to know, and Haley can't say much more before she's told to pack to leave for her holidays. This, of course, has shaken Raeliana quite a bit. But the promise of knowing anything? She really wants to know where Beatrice is. So at night, she goes over to the room and, though freaked out, finds the mirror and takes a look at it. She seems to see something in it, but as a hand reaches for her from behind, she drops the mirror and it shatters on the ground. It was Noah, and Raeliana is very shaken, saying she just saw a ghost. Of course, Noah does not believe her and just stares at her, but she insists, grabbing onto him as she tells him to exorcise the room. She asks why he's there, and he says he forgot something, and Raeliana holds onto him even tighter as she asks if he'll leave now. He finds it really cute how she's scared and holding on to him, and he grabs her hand as he leads her back to her room. Raeliana smiles, because he doesn't grab anything from the room. He hadn't forgotten anything, he'd just been worried about her and went to look for her. Once in her room, he says he'll stay with her till she falls asleep, and she says okay, grabbing a pillow to sleep on the couch so he can have the bed. Of course, this won't do for him, so he calls her over to the bed, saying it's not their first time. Raeliana drops the pillow, super embarrassed, and Noah just shrugs with a wicked smile. She finally agrees, and Noah picks up a romance book she was reading to pass the time. Raeliana thinks he won't be interested, but apparently he likes it, and they strike up a conversation about it, with Raeliana being all excited, but Noah tells her to go to sleep. Somehow she does. How is a mystery. I would not be able to sleep with such a handsome man next to me like that, but our female lead has superpowers. In her sleep, she grabs onto him and smiles, and Noah can't do anything but fall back and cover his troubled face, thinking he must indeed be going crazy. We'll stop on this sweet note today. Don't forget to ask for the next part in the comment section, and to like and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one!